The entire rock community is on fire about the Rage engine and how is Rage working, about feral nature, about Horn of Fury, about Rage, over Rage. So I definitely want to give my opinion regarding this because I had a lot of messages recently. Everyone asking me, what is your opinion? What is your opinion? What do you have to say about this? Here is my first statement about this. The Rage engine hasn't changed since 3 years or 3 years and a half. Whenever the game has been launched, it hasn't changed. It's the same. But obviously there is more to it. Hello everyone and welcome back to On the Rise of King of Video. I'm Legend Ronnie. And today we have a very special video. And I'm definitely gonna say a couple of things and probably a couple of tricks that I haven't said it in any of my videos regarding why I'm using feral nature, why so much rage over rage, why I'm such a big fan of just going with enough items and enough rage, enough commanders that buff rage, even if I overrage every single turn. Why is all that? Now, how is this all started? That's probably the most important part. Back like 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, I first started as an infantry player. Then I switched to skill damage. I started to see the potential, and especially in cavalry. So I started to see the potential of having fast marches and a lot of skill damage. So I started using Pelagius, I started using Babers, Minamoto, then Saladin, Genghis came around, and then Edward. Babers is the way it's supposed to be, and same is Minamoto, Genghis, and so on. If I go further up on Genghis, yep, this is Genghis with the feral nature talent tree and so on. Edward was released. So what just happened? I instantly maxed Edward, and obviously I went with the feral nature. I mean, there was no question about it. The talent tree is similar to YSG's talent tree, same as is YSG right now with the feral nature and venomous sting and the rest of the stuff. And there was another YouTuber who made a video. His tests were on controlled environment, so they were both out of the alliance, making sure they both have the same amount of troops. Equipment wasn't released, so that's not an issue. And he proved that Edward with a full archer tree, do I have such a thing here? No, I don't have such a thing here, but I could reset and immediately show you. So an Edward with a full talent tree and not even rejuvenate, going with the clarity and just some stuff from here, I believe, and some stuff from there. Anyway, an Edward with a full archer tree is beating calves, like some of the well-known calf pairs back then, while an Edward with feral nature was losing against the calves. So it was a big issue back then, and I was at the start. I'm talking about 2.5 years ago, so I was pretty noob to the game like everyone else. So I took his video a little bit seriously. I was like, hey baby, he knows something. Like, when I find a better idea and I take it and I use it, I mean, it's pretty normal, right? Nobody is perfect. So I took that idea, I switched my talents. I was using Pelagius back then. I was using Babers, I was using Minamoto and Genghis or Saladin, or I wasn't using Babers. And I know Saladin was released. I know that I had 4 skill damaging marches, including Edward, and YSG was one of them. So I switched all my talent trees on going with non-feral nature, because that's what he was saying, that's what he was proving. We were still in KVK, so I had it a go. I took my first marches out once. I felt that something is not right. I said, you know, it's just the first time. I took them the second time, I took them the third time. And even the third time, we were basically overwhelming them, and I felt that something is wrong. You know, when you use the same marches over and over and over and over and over and over again, you learn the behavior of your marches. You learn how they perform during the battlefield. So I said, you know what, something is not working. The battle was pretty much over, and I had a challenge from someone because the battle was over sooner than we wanted to. So I had a challenge from someone for a 1v1. They knew I'm a fully dedicated Cav player, so I was playing with 4 Cav Marchers and 1 Archers. And the other player came with just Legendary. So by just Legendary, I'm talking about Richard with someone. I think he had Minamoto and Double C as well, or not, probably not Minamoto. Saladin and Genghis. Edward with Tomiris, Elsid with YSG. So only pure legendaries that were available at that time, including Richard and Charles. You get the idea, just full legendary marchers. So I went out with my 5 marchers, my 4 Cav marchers, obviously using Pelagius, because I was still using Pelagius. I think Babers as well, as I was mentioning, Genghis, Saladin, they were also leading, and Edward with YSG. But what I've done, I've changed all my talents from the previous one without Feral Nature to the ones with Feral Nature that I usually do. Going full Feral Nature. So I've done all my marchers with the Feral Nature and the other stuff that I usually put on. And we went and dueled 1-on-1. And I won. Usually, when my marchers are low, I retreat. That's why you play with Cavs with fast marchers. You just retreat your marchers. And the deal was that we both used the best that we have. So we were both in the alliance, we were both having buffs, I think we were both having generals, 50% expansion. So we wanted to embody a perfect, battlefield scenario. Like, let's say you're fighting on a flag situation, and the other guy comes with 5 marches, you go with 5 marches, and you fight to the death and stuff like that. That's what we wanted to emphasize. And obviously I won. But I honestly, like I was mentioning, I usually retreat when my Cavs are a little bit lower, when they are 50%, because that's why I play with Cavs. I don't stay there to the death. His Richard was the last march standing, and I had 4 marches standing. But the problem was that my marchers were pretty banged up. And because of that, I really didn't want to fight his Richard, but it was a 1-on-1. So I took a tremendously lot of severely wounded because of that. So I ended up getting like 400,000 hospital bills, while he had around 300,000 or 320,000 hospital bills. And the final result, I was standing with 3 marches. Probably Feral Nature had something to do with that. Probably a lot of skill damage had something to do with that. But since then, that's how I'm playing. Since then, I haven't changed my talents, and Feral Nature was part of my builds, was part of everything that I'm using. And FIY, Pelagius and Double C was actually the march with the highest amount of troops standing. But it was a total different build. I kept changing the build over time on Pelagius and so on. It was Feral Nature 100% on all the marches. Now, to give you more details about why Feral Nature is so important, or why do I like Feral Nature so much. Even though there is a rage cap, there is a rage limit, and I knew about that. I honestly didn't know exactly how much it was. I was just presuming about what it was. It was very hard for me to calculate. I didn't have the time. I prefer to play KVK. And this is another thing that I want to mention in this video, that I also believe that each and every YouTuber and content creator that makes video about Rise of Kingdoms, they have a niche of specialty. They have their own branch that they really excel at. And I believe that my niche of specialty is KVK and field fighting. I did enjoy Osiris League. The first Osiris League, it didn't went the way I wanted to. We got in the top 32. That was really nice. But that was pretty much about it. And then on the second one, we got rank 8. But then I realized that if you really want a competitive team, you need a lot of dedicated players. Since I was so much KVK focused and all that, I dropped the idea of Osiris League. And I just focus on KVK. That's why I started making more accounts. Make sure that I have accounts where it's KVK. Because that's what I like about it. That's why I play, and I still play the Rock. And because of you guys as well. But I enjoy KVK. This is the thing that I like about the game right now the most. Regarding the rage and the feral nature, and regarding my specialty, right, and Horn of Fury and all that sort of stuff. When I do a rally, or when I rally, I'll always put a horn in a ring. That's the first thing that I put on any rally. If I garrison, I put the horn in the ring. It can always be changed depending on the situation, but that's not something I want to sidetrack in this video. But why do I enjoy so much rage? So let's say that you get to a point where you do your set of skills in, I don't know, 7 turns, 8 turns. Let's say you don't have feral nature and horn. And let's say you have horn and feral nature, and you can probably reduce that by another turn. I'm not saying 2 turns, by another turn. So you're not casting your skills in 8 turns, you're casting it in 7. What happens when you need, let's say, 30 more rage to fill up your bar and cast the skills if you don't have any kind of chances to generate rage, like feral nature or Horn of Fury, or even buffing the rally, right? There is Trajan or Constantine. There is many commanders that I believe only like 1% of the people who are rallying are doing that. But in some situations, like in passes, it's very profitable to try to buff the rally, which I'm doing it. And I don't mind if I overrage. Now, why is the reason? You all seen hours long of rallies, right? 1 turn, everybody knows that is equivalent to a second. If it's a 1 hour rally, it's 60 seconds times 60 minutes. That's 3,300 turns. Now, that's a lot of turns when you think about it. If you cast your skills 1 turn less, and maybe not every single time, but let's just say instead of 8 turns, you cast it 7 turns. Now, how many skills overall do you do? And skills helps a lot. Why is that? If you didn't know, the skill damage does a lot of slightly wounded. So it doesn't cause us that, doesn't cause us severely wounded. Depending on the situation, rallying a flag, field fighting, and so on, it does a lot of slightly wounded. When you're thinking like, hold on, that's not really so good, you want to cause severely wounded. But it drastically reduces the number of troops, either in the garrison, the pass, or the march that you're hitting. And by keep reducing that, 1, they either need more reinforcements, or 2, once it gets too low, the number advantage that you have, either by swarming the target, that's for field fighting perspective, or rallying the flag, rallying the pass, you cause more damage, and that then naturally you start inflicting more severely wounded. Why I enjoy so much feral nature rage, like I said, even if I know that feral nature gives me 15 rage, so I'm not saying 20, 100, 15. How many times did it happen when you see your commander that is almost at full rage? You see the 4 yellow dots and you're going like, why is he not casting that skill? It's because you still need a small fraction. You're missing that 10, 15, 20 rage. That's why the rage bar is full, but it's not really full. Let's say Xiang Yu needs 900 minus 50, 850. So if Xiang Yu's bar is really full and he's not casting it, he can be like, I don't know, 830, 840. So if you don't have any kind of rage restoration, you don't get that slightly missing rage. Personally, if I could over-rage every single turn or every single march that I have, that would be a blessing, honestly blessing. Because when you swarm a target, when you go with all these beautiful marches, you have Nebuchadnezzar, you have Xiang Yu, you have Saladin, even though Saladin doesn't have a skill tree, but still has a good rage engine with the support tree. You have Saladin, you have various other marches, you have Guan Yu, right? You have whoever you're using on your motherboard and you're swarming the target. What's the most important thing when you're swarming it? Taking it down as fast as possible. Now, when someone gets swarmed, what does it do? It retreats. So I always found, in 3 years of playing the game, I always found better to be the first who's generating the skills. So any kind of slight rage that I can get, I'm really happy. I really want it. Any kind, the slightest amount of rage that I can get to make sure I'm start popping skills, that's definitely gonna help me out. That's why my Saladin always has when I'm fighting on the field, always has a Horn of Fury, because he's the primary one that's I want him to cast, even though usually it's Xiangyu, because of the 50% march speed reduction. And like I said, usually Xiangyu because he has a good rage engine, and he usually has a horn because he's made for a rally composition. But that's what I found the most important playing the game, just generating as much rage as possible. Now, like I was talking earlier, this is from my experience, this is from my niche of expertise when it comes to field battle, rallying, and garrison. And I didn't want to sidetrack because there's other accessories that I use when I garrison or I recommend on garrison, like especially if a garrison is swarmed, you definitely don't need the horn, but this is different situation. Or if the rally is swarmed, again, you don't need the horn. But again, this is situations and situations. This is just situational kind of events when you have to put total different accessories on your marches or in the garrison. But for field fighting, I found that the horn to be one of the best accessories, to be the first who cast the skills. As I was mentioning previously about the 1v1 march, that's when I realized how much skill damage is important. It's not about going cost effective, like who has the less severely wounded. I mean, it has been proven in so many KVKs that people can empty hospital almost endlessly. So it's all about winning the field battles, winning the murder balls, making sure you're doing the highest amount of skill damage, the fastest amount of skill damage, so that you can keep your opponents back, so you can rally and burn their flags. Because otherwise you will just almost endlessly field fight, which kingdoms and leaders don't really look for that endlessly. Not all of them, anyway. So I hope that this video kind of answers my perspective regarding the feral nature, the Horn of Fury, the rage, over rage, and whatever other perspective or aspects of the game regarding the rage you might have. That's why when Trajan came out on the first day, I summoned him and I max kill him. I had no question. The moment I saw he has an active skill with rage, does a little bit of damage and buff my troops with skill damage, bruh, really? Like, this is like almost that feeling like winning the lottery. Almost. I haven't won the lottery, so I can't tell you if it's really like that. But if I do, I'll let you know. When they released Trajan, and then when it was William, when they released William again with rage, with his hidden bloodline AoE, including march speed reduction on those targets, then instant damage and even more damage when surrounding, I was like, for real? Some of the most badass commanders for field fighting in the game, doing damage, buffing, debuffing, and all that sort of stuff. That was it. I was sold. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comment section below. Again, this is no test, and you're probably wondering why is there no test. It's because when you field fight and when it's KVK, that's uncontrolled environment. That's really, really hard to mimic, an uncontrolled environment. If you really want tests, I'm going to put you a playlist, a card on the top, and you can check those 6-hour plus live stream when I was fighting, either with some of my main accounts or with my alt accounts or whichever accounts I was playing. You can find there plenty of fighting and you will understand. That's my field of testing. That's how I test things out. Until next time, this is your boy Ronnie signing off. Peace out here and take care. See you on the next one and stay safe out there, my friends.